From Senegal walking off the pitch, to Morocco missing a last-minute penalty, to ball boys stealing towels, to CAF postponing the WAFCON, and then declaring Morocco as champions 2 months later. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of TAMFC. I am your host, Nate. And in this episode, we'll be breaking down all the developments around the 2026 AFCON final and all the events that happened after the final. Now, we all might have opinions on this matter, but let me help inform yours. So as you all might know, Morocco hosted the 2026 AFCON, and it was quite an enjoyable event. It was quite decent. They put on a good spectacle. We can all agree on that. However, the 2026 AFCON final was overshadowed by drama, controversy, and bad sportsmanship. Now, as a quick recap, we all saw Senegal walk off the field due to their unhappiness about the penalty being awarded last minute to Morocco. They were also quite upset about the treatment that they were getting from the ball boys and the CAF officials. Fortunately, due to the heroics of Sadio Mane, the captain of Senegal, they returned to the field. Brahim Diaz missed the penalty with his Panenka. And after that, during extra time, is it Idris or Papa Gay? Sorry, there's a lot of gays in that team. After that, Papa Gay scored the last-minute winner, and Senegal won the 2026 AFCON in Morocco. Now, in this episode, we will be breaking down all the developments that happened before the 2026 AFCON final, after the 2026 AFCON final, and everything in between. Now, there was a large section of fans and the media that were not happy about Senegal walking off the field. Some said that it was bad sportsmanship and not in the spirit of the game, and whether you agree with them or not, I'm going to break down all the developments leading up to the 2026 AFCON final and why Senegal felt the need to walk off the field. So let me break it down for you, because I can assure you that it was more than just bad refereeing decisions and players being harassed by the ball boys that led to the Senegal team walking off the field. Now, if you are familiar with African football as a whole, you will know that Morocco generally have a bad reputation for being bad sportsmen and bullies on the football field. This includes and is not limited to officials, players, spectators, and even ball boys. Have a look at this clip by former Sundowns coach Pitso Mosimane as he expressed his disapproval of Moroccan side Wydad Casablanca's behavior and bullying tactics towards his players and his staff.
Going to tell us, the media. So it's very, very heated here. People have been fighting all the way into the tunnel as well. They were fighting with the ball boy. They were fighting going down the tunnel. But first, before we get to that, let's hear your analysis of the game.
Champions League game with big emotions and all the things. They do this to us in Morocco. They do this. We go anywhere. Everybody bullies us. It's about time Sundowns come up and play Champions League. They do this to us. We don't find ball boys. They come to South Africa, they want to bully us? No, the North Africans, they are always bullying everybody. Always. They bully referees, they bully everybody. They don't want to lose.
So, Senegal's issues with Morocco started off in the week in the lead up to the 2026 final. So, Senegal arrived in Rabat for the 2026 AFCON final with minimal security detail. Were then swarmed by spectators and fans. It was obviously not a good look for the host country, Morocco, and the Senegal football team coach was quite upset and expressed himself in the press conference before the 2026 final.
The organization has done well. That's what people have been saying all around the world. So a big thank you to Morocco for organizing the tournament in a way that has truly raised the bar for AFCON. We hope that will continue. But after what happened yesterday, we were all witnesses to it, and that can't happen. It just can't happen.
Then the Senegalese FA laid a complaint to CAF because they believed that the Moroccan FA placed the Senegal national team in a hotel that was substandard, noisy, and right in the city center. And then thirdly, Senegal were booked to train at the King Mohammed Sports Ground training facility, which is not a problem because it's a great training facility. But the problem was that Morocco were booked to train right next to them. So the Senegalese FA accused Morocco of potentially spying on them by placing both sets of teams' training facilities right next to each other. Then on top of that, Senegal were given minimal complimentary tickets for the final, which were meant for their wives, their families, and their close friends. So, Senegal FA basically accused Moroccan FA of doing all of these things to disrupt their preparation leading up to the 2026 final. And then, on top of that, the Senegal FA were only allowed to sell 2,000 tickets to Senegalese fans in a stadium that had more than a 50,000 capacity. So, with all these issues leading up to the 2026 AFCON final, that during the final, as we all saw, the Senegalese goalkeeper Eduardo Mendy was constantly harassed by ball boys, CAF officials, and spectators. The ball boys kept on trying to steal the towels of the Senegalese goalkeeper because it was drizzling during the final, and the Senegalese goalkeeper obviously used the towel to dry his gloves, which would have made it easier for him to catch the ball. Then, on top of that, Senegal had a genuine penalty appeal turned down in Morocco's box. And the worst part is that the ref did not even go to VAR to review it. Moments later, Senegal committed what seems to be a very soft foul in their own box against a Moroccan player, and the referee was more than happy to go to VAR, review it, and award the penalty to Brahim Diaz. So, by taking all of these factors into account, you can understand that by the time that the referee had awarded the penalty to Morocco, that the players were absolutely furious, and then they proceeded to walk off because in their minds they believed that this final was a scam and that it was set up for Morocco to win. After that, I'm sure we all know what happens. Liverpool and Senegal legend Sadio Mane calls the players back on the pitch. They all return to the field. Brahim Diaz misses the penalty by trying a panenka in the final. Can you believe it? The match then heads to extra time where Senegal scored the winner and the stadium was filled with Moroccan tears by the end of the final whistle. And I guess that's the end of the story, right? Unfortunately, no, it wasn't. The Moroccan FA then go on to lay a complaint to FIFA and CAF and basically say that they are going to appeal the 2026 AFCON final and say that Morocco should win because Senegal walked off the field. Therefore, the match is null and void. Anyways, the whole world laughs at this because they know Morocco are just being salty and are sad at the fact that they lost because they almost could have won it if Brahim Diaz kicked the penalty in the back of the net in the 90th minute. Anyways, a month after the final, Morocco, who were due to host the 2026 WAFCON, that's the Women's AFCON, that was supposed to start on the 16th of March 2026, was cancelled a week before it was supposed to start, which means that all the African women's football teams had literally already been in camp, had left their clubs, and were on flights and were busy getting ready to go to their hotels to prepare for the tournament. The reason for the cancellation? Well, Morocco doesn't give a clear reason. They just throw around some stupid words like economic, environmental, whatever. They were just saying we weren't ready to host the tournament. But luckily, South Africa came to the rescue. So South Africa, always wanting to be the main girl and star of the show that she is, we had a situation where the Deputy Minister of Sport announced that South Africa will host the 2026 AFCON and take over from Morocco. CAF were like, and government were also like. So this was a real brain fart and a real embarrassing moment for South Africa because CAF didn't announce on any platforms that they had changed the 2026 host for that WAFCON from Morocco to South Africa. She was then forced to retract her statement. Anyways, I digress. Morocco go on to say and announce that they will reschedule the 2026 WAFCON starting on the 17th of July. First, let's take a deep dive into the relationship between the Moroccan FA and CAF. Firstly, CAF announces that it will be rescheduling the AFCON cycle from a 2-year cycle to a 4-year cycle. So CAF basically go on to explain that most of the money that they make in a yearly or 4-yearly cycle is due to the fact that most of the sponsorship and TV rights money comes from the men's AFCON games, which means that the rest of the AFCON events, like the WAFCON, the Champions League, the Women's Champions League, and so on, have to run at a loss or a very small profit. So basically, it's safe to assume that AFCON carries CAF financially. Now, here's where things start to get very interesting. Listen up. As you know, Morocco hosted the 2026 AFCON and the 2022, 2024, and 2026 WAFCON. So let's listen to Patrice Motsepe's explanation as to why Morocco tends to host the majority of these events.
Let me give you an example. I ask in CAF, we've got futsal. I open a bid for 6 months and nobody submits an offer because they lose money. I open a bid for the Women's Champions League. Nobody puts a bid because they lose money. And what happens? Morocco comes and says, I'll help you. And what that leads to is that we've got lots of competitions where it's often the same countries. And partly it's because the others don't, the government say, but we don't have the money, we don't have the resources. And we have to move on and develop African football.
So as you can see, Dr. Patrice Motsepe basically said that Morocco are always willing to host events, and that most of these African and AFCON events are not always economically viable for other countries. And remember, keep in mind, Morocco are also the co-host of the 2030 Men's World Cup, which basically means that they have all the infrastructure and all the equipment and facilities in place to host major events or minor sporting events. So it seems to me that Morocco and CAF have some sort of parasitical relationship going on. You know, that relationship where you have a friend but you don't even really like the guy, but he always borrows you money and he's always with the pretty girls and he always has access to cool things. So you just stick around the guy because you know that it will be in your best interests even though you don't really like the guy. Yeah, that's pretty much the relationship between CAF and Morocco. I'm sorry, I digress. So, on the 17th of March 2026, CAF announces its decision to overturn the victory for Senegal and hand it to Morocco on a 3-0 scoreline, which means that the match was declared as null and void. But the funny thing is, the last time in a CAF match that a team decided to walk off the field was during 2019, during the CAF final, where Moroccan team Wydad Casablanca walked off the field and the match was ordered to be replayed and not declared null and void. But there's still hope. As journalist Melissa already explained on X, formerly Twitter, that can still appeal the decision by the CAF board. Now, I'm not a legal expert and I'm not going to give you my legal opinion. What I'm worried about is the outcomes. Now, here's where things start to get very interesting. After Morocco were announced as winners of the 2026 AFCON final, a day later the Moroccan FA announces its plans to continually and happily host the 2026 WAFCON. A little suspicious, don't you think? Now, like I said, we all have opinions on this matter, and my opinion is if Morocco are declared the winners, then it should be Morocco's legal team that get to lift up the trophy in front of all the fans in Morocco. Let me hear from you. What do you think about the whole event? Do you think that Morocco and the Moroccan FA purposefully postponed the 2026 WAFCON until the appeal for the 2026 AFCON was overturned? Do you agree that Morocco is kind of, holding CAF hostage with all its money and leverage? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you for watching another episode of TAMFC. I am your host, Nate.